Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Rayman Origins, or I guess Raycon Origins, sponsored by
No,
earbuds.
Don't force it. Don't force it.
No? Okay.
Don't force it.
If you ever do a Rayman commentary, John, you need to get Raycon to sponsor you.
If they're still under
Think about it,
contract,
John. There's
sure.
no wires, all right? So it's like not having arms.
Rayman doesn't have any wires.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I know it writes itself, but I don't know if I'm going to be still doing deals with them by the time this video goes up or by next year.
That sounds like the kind of sponsor spot that you would submit to the sponsor, and they'd be just like, no.
We're rabbits. Like that's the feedback notes that you get. I was like, fuck me, man. Even here.
Okay. So let's transport everybody back to the year 2012. All right. Nintendo has just released their new console, the Wii U. And it's off to a slow start, but there's this game coming out for it that you're really excited for, Rayman Legends, sequel to Origins, which is amazing. And then they show off the first gameplay trailer of Legends, and it looks really cool. But then, at the end, they show a rabbit figure being touched to the Wii U gamepad. And then there's this rabbit level with all of these Rayman Legends rabbits. And you're like, oh no. Oh no. And thankfully, they never put that in the game. That's good.
Was it because of backlash?
Here's my guess. I think it was because of development issues. Rayman Legends, rather famously, did not end up releasing as a Wii U exclusive, despite being billed as one for like its entire like pre-release hype schedule. It was like the only Wii U exclusive that many Nintendo fans were really excited about. And they just, at the very last minute, like a month before release, they said, actually, no, the Wii U sucks. We are going to release this on all the other consoles so that we make our money back.
Yeah, that's pretty much
and
how
we're gonna delay the game by like 6 to 8 months or so.
It was supposed to come out like June, February, and then it came out in the fall. So yeah, that sounds about right.
So basically, yeah, functionally all the stores more or less had the game, or at the very least the discs were there, and they just didn't do anything with them for like half a year.
Yeah, there's probably a warehouse somewhere of Wii U Rayman Legends discs that have like some 0.8 version of the game, because since the game was being delayed, they had to do something with the devs during that time. And so it's like, let's port Rayman Origins levels. Yeah, sure. That's something. And so yeah, so that's why we have Rayman Origins levels in Rayman Legends. With that said, I would not recommend just getting Legends because there's Origins levels in it. It's not all of them. I believe you're missing all the Treasure Chase levels and Land of the Living Dead, which are like some of the best levels in the game. So I would like owning the original Origins is still worth it in my opinion.
Also, you could probably get both games for like dirt cheap. So.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Like Xbox 360 copies of this game are probably pennies.
They go on sale on PC all the time, I think.
Yeah. The game runs fairly well on most PCs too, unless if you're like me and you're trying to record it. But yeah, it's a really cheap game. You can get it on Switch. Everybody knows that if it's on Switch, that means it's better. Right? It portable though?
I mean, financially speaking, yeah, it's true.
Ooh.
I mean, I will say 2D platformers, maybe this is just me growing up as a Game Boy Advance kid. I love playing 2D platformers portably. So playing Rayman Origins on my Switch was a really fun time. And it does actually allow you to play the game with the Touch Murphy controls, like originally intended. But playing it with Touch Murphy controls actually makes the game worse in some ways, because I don't know why they... The Murphy stuff in Rayman Legends I just have never really liked.
It was a very obvious, we need to do something with the gamepad.
Yeah, but they don't, though, is the thing. Like, the thing about the Wii U gamepad was it was effectively just the DS's bottom screen. And you want to know what all the best 3DS and DS games did when they didn't have a good use for the bottom screen or something interesting, they did nothing with it. And that's fine. You don't have to do something fancy just because you have the option to do something fancy.
I do. Looking back, I kind of like how like a lot of devs just look at this. Fuck this 2-screen shit. I'm just gonna put the map on top of one.
I mean,
of them.
that's fine. It declares.
Yeah, I know.
UI,
It's like I'm not.
So it's
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just nice having like even just like you don't need to have a health bar on the top screen or like a life count or whatever. It just keeps the screen clear, which is nice when the screens are that small. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, like the second screen had its uses. I enjoy the way it works. For example, in the 3DS Fire Emblem games, there's a lot of UI stuff in Fire Emblem, and having a second screen for that it's pretty good. You know?
I remember one of the complaints about Three Houses that people had is that the text is really small. Because
I think they did relatively well at making the UI look nice in Three Houses, but there is a lot of information to cram into that UI in Three Houses, and sometimes like you pull up, for example, a character's stat sheet in the middle of a battle because you want to like get a more like active idea of how this character is going to do in this particular kind of tactical situation, because you're playing maddening mode and there's like zero margin for error, and like that, oh god, there's so much and it's all like crammed into one screen.
Yeah. And again, I'm not trying to say like the second screen on the DS was useless. No, there were a lot of games that did cool stuff with the second screen, but like if you were just making a basic axe 2D platformer, you didn't need to. So like that's one of the beauties of it. And
Yeah.
for some reason they just, I don't know, the Wii U just never got that idea around for some reason, and I don't know why.
Because ultimately the problem is for the DS and 3DS, the both screens are like a micro fraction of an eye twitch away from each other.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, the gamepad is probably sitting in your lap and the TV's up in front of you. To look between one or the other, you basically have to turn your entire head up and down.
Yeah, like basically the only game that I can think of that made it worth having a second screen in a separate device was Fatal Frame 5, which is not even a particularly amazing game, but like you're playing a game where you're using a camera to fight ghosts, and you have a camera-sized controller with a screen that you can rotate around and look through. So it was a nice gimmick. But like trying to play Wii U Zelda games with the second screen handling all the inventory stuff, I don't know. I always felt like I'd rather just pause the game and have the inventory like right there.
It's nice to have the option, I guess.
Yeah, and so...
But it never to me felt like anything that like a quick wheel wouldn't be just as adequate doing.
Yeah.
I guess is the big thing.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. Like in theory, it's nice to have a second screen that handles the inventory stuff, but I don't know. It was just too big and clunky. I'd rather just stick to the Pro Controller, which you could do, to be fair.
Yeah, that was part of the reason why when I was replaying the game on Switch, I realized that, yeah, Origins is much better than Legends. It's like every time there was a Murphy level, I was like, oh, God. And I never have that reaction to any level replaying Origins. Like every level I'm just as excited to play as the one before, which is pretty rare in a 2D platformer. Like I'm thinking about all the other 2D platformers I play. Like, I play a lot of Kirby. I feel like Rayman Origins and Kirby are very hard to compare. It definitely has a feel much similar to, 2D Mario is probably the closest comparison, even though this is much smoother feeling. But there are definitely worlds in some of the 2D Mario games where I'm just like, you know, I'm not as invested in. Sonic is another big example where everybody just has a zone in most Sonic games where they're just like, nah, I'm good. Can I skip this one, please? Classic examples include Metropolis Zone in Sonic 2, Sandopolis in Sonic 3, Marble in Sonic 1.
Specifically Sandopolis Act 2. I don't hear nearly as much shit about Act 1.
Yeah, basically.
Well, this kind of goes into something I wanted to ask earlier, but you were talking about, I think it was the last part of the part before, where this is the point where most people might put the game down. Like, and I'm sure we've asked this question millions of times on this channel, but what is like your least favorite level aesthetic that just, like, I'm probably not gonna have a fun time in this world?
So what the point I was getting at is it's not so much the aesthetic, it's just the point of the game. Like World 2 is like normally where a lot of people would like put the game down for a break. And then like partway through World 2 or right before World 2. And then the first time you put it down is like the biggest barrier to entry of picking it back up again. You know?
Sure. I also believe that aesthetic of a level has a factor in that too. Like if it's not pleasing or stimulating, that kind of goes against you wanting to continue playing the game. So I ask, like, out of all platformers that you play, everything that you've ever experienced, like, what is one level aesthetic that you just, no, get it out of my screen. I don't want anything.
I feel like desert or like cave is one, and it's because color is a big thing. Like this is the desert level, but you'll notice that like even though the colors are definitely more subdued than the jungle level we were just in, like it's a very pleasing and varied palette that's just more toned down than the level before, versus like there's a lot of browns in a lot of those cave or desert style levels, and it can get very visually monotonous. I've never been a fan of underground levels in Mario, for example.
I think if you want a masterclass in how to make a desert or cave level look interesting, the Sega Genesis Aladdin game would be a good one to look at, because goddamn, the level aesthetics in that entire family of Disney games are just like.
Well, I mean, Aladdin is mostly sand, so they better get that shit.
I remember the Cave of Wonders stage in Aladdin looked really cool.
The Cave of Wonders stage in Aladdin, which Cave of Wonders act? Because like depending on which one you're talking about, yeah, they all look cool, but goddamn, some of them just get like really brutal.
The one I remember most is the one where you're like flying on the carpet.
The one where you're flying on the carpet. A level so bullshit they made it optional to complete.
The thing about the Aladdin games for Super Nintendo Genesis is that they actually got the animators for the movie to do stuff for that game, which is why it looks so good.
Oh yeah!
Holy crap! Really? That's awesome.
Yeah. The animation in the what's the developer? Virgin Studios. The animation in their particular take on the Disney games was always amazing. The Lion King also has a lot going on. They're also really hard games, though, so...
You know, because, well, they specifically said later on, I forget which developer someone interviewed, but basically they just admitted to, yeah, we made them bullshit hard so you couldn't rent them over a week and then from, like, Blockbuster and return it.
Yeah, but as a weird byproduct of that design, though, I feel like with a couple standout levels notwithstanding, they hold up really well if you go back to them at age 30-something, like we are. So, like a lot of the stuff that would have given you a lot of trouble as a kid are actually like at the perfect level of difficulty at our age.
If you're going into it for like a really specifically challenging kind of gameplay style, then I would agree. That's one of the things is that I think that's part of why games like Mario do so well is that they're easier. And so people feel like they can play them more.
But, like, a lot of the really hard things in Aladdin specifically are just, like, platforming challenges that children would have trouble with because they're not used to platforming challenges. So, like, the kind of kid who would repeatedly get hit by the wrecking ball in Tom and Jerry Frantic Antics is going to have trouble with Aladdin. But, like, going back to it at my age, it's like, well, actually, most of this stuff is pretty okay, actually.
I'd say Aladdin's aged better in that department than Lion King. Lion King is still
probably. Lion King had a lot more combat challenge, and it doesn't have a lot of combat mechanics to get around that challenge with, so you kind of just have to be really precise about not getting hit. Whereas Aladdin leaned more heavily on, like, in the dungeons, there are these stone platforms going in and out of the walls that you have to jump your way up, and it's basically slippery climb from Crash Bandicoot.
So Lion King also unfortunately has one of the video game's most egregious stone walls early in the game's adventure.
You're gonna have to be more specific.
The fucking
The ostrich level.
True.
The ostrich level.
The ostrich level, the monkey level too is.
It's too bad
really
because the
fucking
music in that
obnoxious.
level is so catchy.
Yeah,
Do they
I mean,
remix
it's
music
basically
from
just
the
the Disney
movie?
soundtrack.
Yes.
Or-
Yeah, it's all music from the soundtrack. Yeah.
It's a 16-bit rendition of the vocal track that they would be singing in that scene.
Yeah.
They did a good job of capturing the spirit of the movies in those two games.
They re-released all of those, right?
Yes.
Like not that
Yeah.
long ago.
Yeah. So
Do they have like an easy mode added on it, or are they just like ROMs?
I think it has like the basic, rewind functions or something like that.
Oh,
Which,
okay.
you know,
At the very
So you
least,
can at least use
saving.
save states.
it makes the game easier, but not like on the same level as Infinite Lives and Metal Slug.
Yeah, that's. I mean, Infinite Lives in Metal Slug is just a more fun way to play the game because it's like it's what you wanted to do back when you were like 9. Is like take your mom's purse, take every take like every $20 bill out of it, and then like put it into the thing, get a shit ton of quarters.
And then just dump them on a pile on the cabinet, and then run home, scream, crying when some bully steals them all.
Yeah. Or run home scream crying when $20 of quarters was not enough to beat Metal Slug.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be.
I remember when I was playing Metal Slug a lot, when I first got them on Switch. I was really happy when I got to the point
This
where...
level's called Shooting Me Softly.
Yeah, with this song.
Oh, man.
This game has a lot of good humor in it. It's just really well made. And there's also I like these shooting sections. They are a little bit random. This is kind of just a callback to Rayman 1's mosquito. Oh yeah, I love that instead of Glowbox riding a mosquito, the mosquito rides him. Yeah.
Oh, man, I love Glowbox so much.
Glowbox is great. I really should play Rayman 2 and 3. I don't have a Dreamcast, so I don't think I can play the best version of Rayman 2. But, I should... I bet Rayman 3 is probably like $5.
Rayman 3
sale.
is available on GOG.
Yeah, but it's probably
There's-
like one of those weird...
There's
PC
also
ports.
an HD version on PS3, if you happen to have that. But other than that, I don't think Rayman 3 has as many options as Rayman 2 does.
Yeah, you can play Rayman 2 on anything at this point.
There was even a 3DS version. It's terrible. Don't play it.
What's bad about the 3DS version?
I don't remember. I just know it wasn't good.
Yeah, I remember hearing that as well, because that was another launch title for the 3DS, and the reviews were Rayman 2 is a great game, Rayman 3D is not. Do not play it. And I was like, oh, man.
It's unfortunate because the 3DS didn't have too many 3D platformers, ironically. So.
Yeah, and that was something that I remember being really excited about when the system was first being shown off. Was that
Handheld 3D
we can finally
platformers,
have handheld 3D platformers, and
there's your options for good ones are like Mario 64 again, and just fucking Sonic Lost
3D
World.
Land's, 3D Land's good.
3D Land's fine. I have
Land,
no
yeah.
desire to ever play that game ever again.
I always forget about 3D Land because we have 3D World now, which is just bigger, better 3D Land.
Yeah, it's like I don't usually have a desire to play 3D World even, so like my desire to play 3D Land is even less. Yeah. But yeah, no, that is part of why the 3D platformer revival that's been going on right now is so exciting. There's a new KO the Kangaroo game coming out.
Really?
Which is yeah.
Ah, jeez.
Which is like, what year is it in incarnate?
Next thing you know, they're probably gonna reboot fucking what's the name of that franchise that was trying to be
Attack and the Power of Juju?
No, well, that too. But, like, I was thinking of, what's it called, Haven or some shit? It was basically trying to be Jack and Daxter with everything and the kitchen sink in it.
I would never have guessed that KO the Kangaroo would get a revival before Gex. So, you know what, Lewis, you might get it at some point. Like, it might happen.
I don't
who
want
knows?
it. It was terrible, that game. It was. I
Gex?
think. No, not Gex. I'm still thinking about Haven. I'm sorry. I completely missed you mentioning Gex.
Yeah,
I do
no,
wanna
I'm
see,
just saying that, like, I wouldn't have expected KO the Kangaroo to come before Gex, so maybe it's
Yeah.
more feasible than we were talking about.
That's true. Yeah. There have also been like a few remastered ports of some obscure games. Like there's one that's Egyptian themed that got a re-release recently.
Anubis the Second?
No, that doesn't sound right.
No. Anubis the Second is made by the people who did Gingerbread Man.
This is gonna bother me. I need to look it up on Steam or something.
Oh, is that the game that Derek was streaming? Not Mummy. God. What's that game called? God. Damn it. Hold on a moment.
If I just search Egyptian platformer on Steam, I bet.
There's so much porn.
Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy.
Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy, yes, and that popped up on my search, so I was right. Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy is exactly the game I was talking about. It got a re-release. It's a 2003 game, but it got re-released on Steam. And its most recent update is March 11th, 2022, so they're still supporting it. That's nice.
Oh, this is so 2003.
It is.
Yeah, I'm looking at screenshots of it. This is the most 2003 ass game I've ever seen in my life.
It's
I'm interested in it a lot now.
It's a really good game. I recommend playing it.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to do that.